I wanted to come on here and show you a little bit of a model that I've created, actually several models as you'll see. And this is a setup of my land and the different structures that I'm building here. And I wanted to kind of show you the strategy that I'm using, not only for how to lay out the structures on the land and lay out the land, everything that's going to be on it, but also strategies for what to build and how to build small or tiny structures is one good option for getting started. At least I've found has been very helpful getting started with raw land on a small budget. So let me just zoom in here. So this is the top portion of my land. This is kind of my corner that I use right now. I have 6 acres total, and you can see where I mow the grass. This is kind of the area that I actually use. I don't really use much more of it. I have a small apple orchard down here that I planted like 3 years ago or something. But otherwise, it's just the road. It continues down. This plot image here doesn't show my whole land. So I just have this little corner right now. I'm really only using maybe an acre, and there's so much you can do with just an acre. So keep that in mind as this video goes forward and as you think about what you need. So I put up this tent. I don't use this tent anymore. I'm going to be taking it down as soon as possible, as soon as I build one of my barns. It's just storage, but I did live in this tent for a while when I was getting started here. So that's a good option if you need a place to stay, if you buy a raw piece of land. I do have a video or two about the tent. If you look back through my videos from a couple of years ago, I'm sure it's in there. The next thing I did was I built this shed. So I built this little shed. This has been really useful. I made it. It's all framed, as you can see. I did use straw clay in the walls, so it is a somewhat natural building. And then I did lime plaster it too. It's a nice little building. It's just storage though. It's a good practice project. Then the next thing was the tiny house. That's what I live in right now. I put a lot of work into this tiny house. There's a lot of detail that went into it. It's a straw clay house. It's a simple design, but there's a lot involved, and it's a very functional, really good space. It's very small. It's only a 12 by 10, but it works for me. One thing I like about several small buildings getting started is you basically live outdoors a lot of the time, unless you're just one of those people who's always on the computer or something. Having several small buildings detached from themselves puts you outside a lot more, and I've really come to enjoy it. Getting the sunlight and the fresh air has been really good for my health. So I like my little tiny house for a lot of reasons. It works right now. I basically just sleep in here, and I have my computer in here. So I don't really spend a lot of time in there, and it works well for me. I'd rather spend the time outdoors or in one of the other buildings, really. So it's good because you can spend a lot less to get started. You don't have to build a big house with everything included. Again, check with your county codes and regulations and all that. You don't want to run into issues. Every county has different perspectives on doing these kind of things. But if that's not an issue, this strategy works really well. and I do recommend it unless you just have the money to pay up front and build a big house with everything. So moving on, the shower. Let's talk about the shower. I used to have a little kind of shack I put up as a shower, just impromptu one time, and I used that for a couple of years. But now I have this shower, which is a really nice outdoor shower. I put a lot of work into it. It's not completely done, but it's functional and it's nice to use. It's a rammed earth wall, basically, and a little timber frame enclosure, and I have my water. I have not built the pillar yet, so that will come in the future. So I have the outdoor shower. It's really nice, except for maybe a couple months out of the year, like December, January, February. It's a little hard to do the outdoor shower, but it's a small sacrifice to make, in my opinion, to living this way. And one day I'll have an indoor shower. So the next thing I put up was the Cob Building. Originally, this was going to be my office building, and in the end, I just didn't need it as an office space. So now it's my workshop, my kind of tool area. I have a big bench set up in here with all my tools and everything, and my blacksmith setup is in here now too, kind of doing that on the side. And one cool thing about doing the blacksmith work in here is the Cob Building is like completely fireproof except for the roof material. Right now I have a gas forge, and I can literally put it right up against the cob wall, and it doesn't do any damage at all to it. So there's no fire hazard, which is awesome for that kind of work. So that's the Cob Building. I built that with the slip form cob method, and also not in the model here. You can kind of see it from the aerial photograph I took. I have a massive cob wall being built back here. This is just kind of a decorative, fun project. I have a big brick arch. You've probably seen it in the background in some of my recent videos. That's something I'm still working on. It'll take another year or two. It's just kind of a fun project using Cob slip form method on that as well. And it's doing really well. Let's see. This building right here, this will be my kitchen eventually. So that'll be a fully decked out kitchen, all the amenities and everything. Right now I have my outdoor kitchen stuff, just a grill. So that's all. That's going to be a nice thing to have one day. This is the root cellar. I haven't started building it yet. I have cleared the land and I've started digging. It's going to take a lot of digging unless I can get an excavator back here. You'll see it's going to be underground. So 3 of the walls are cinder block and concrete. And then for the ceiling, I'll be doing a barrel vaulted arch ceiling with bricks, rebar, and concrete. So sometimes you got to use the new materials, modern concrete-based materials. Back in the day, they would use stone. If I had that amount of stone, I would do it. But I just don't have that stone. Stone is very expensive. I can't forage it around here, so that's what I'm deciding to do with the root cellar. It's going to be really nice. I'll lime plaster the inside, and the root cellar is going to be good because then I can store the food that I grow and that I get. So over here I have the gardens. I've started the gardens. I have these 2 garden beds dug out. Foundations are almost ready, and these will be brick raised garden beds. I already built the little greenhouse here. It's kind of like what they call it, a wallapini. It's like a partially underground greenhouse. So I'm hoping to be able to start seedlings in there in late winter. And then over time, I'm going to build this whole array of raised garden beds. It's going to be a really nice outdoor garden area here. Lots of space for gardening and planting food and stuff. So right now I'm debating on whether to build this barn or this barn over here. So this barn over here is going to be more of just a utility barn. It will be a timber frame. It's kind of like a lean-to style, shed style roof. Pretty simple. That's a place, I'd put like firewood, and if I ever have a tractor, I'll park a tractor in there, keep tools in there. This barn, this is my fancy barn. I'm still designing it, working on it. I'm doing the traditional German Fachwerk style of timber framing. So as you can see, it's a bit more complex and detailed. This is going to be a barn where I can store everything and have a covered place to work. Probably bring people in here for workshop classes if it rains or something. So it'll be a little bit multi-purpose. Mostly just a workspace though, and a storage space. And I really want to experiment with this timber frame style. As you can see, you can get a lot more unique decorative look with it. So that design is still in the works, and if I can afford it this year, I'm going to start it. It's really just about affordability at this point. And let's see, I think that's it. So everything here that you see, this is my phase 1, I call it. So phase 1 is a complete household, but it's broken up into individual structures. So this is my my strategy. I think is good for if you're getting started on raw land and you want to build, one thing at a time instead of building one big house with everything. I think this is a good way to go. So my phase 2 is going to be out here. I'll put, a big house, like a regular residence house with everything included. It'll go out here. So that's where my phase 2 is going. And phase 3, if I ever get to something like that, I have all the extra land. I'm thinking of putting a hobbit house back in this other side of the land, kind of embedded into the hill. I've done a hobbit house in the past, but the next one I do, I want it to actually be a bermed structure, into the landscape. And so that's going to be a little bit of a more tricky project. I'll probably do that later as a phase 3 project. And there's endless opportunities for this land. I'd like to build a big barn here sometime so I can put a couple cows in there, milk cows. And I already have my chicken coop. I didn't talk about that. I have my chickens now. They're in the chicken coop here. I'm probably going to build a bigger coop later at some point. I really like having chickens. I had a few ducks last year. They were fun. They flew away. I think one did get eaten by a bear too. So yeah, everything is kind of experimental as I go. Down here, I'm thinking about putting in a little electrical storage hut where I'll be able to charge things. Eventually, I'll have power all the way up here. But right now, if I can put something right there, that would be convenient. So that's kind of the idea here, what I've got going. Again, I'm hoping to start this barn. This is going to be a really fun project. Everything in between the timbers is going to be traditional wattle and daub, some sort of natural infill, basically. You can do anything. I'll get into that later, I guess, but you can put anything between these timbers. It could be hempcrete, straw clay, wattle and daub, cob. You can just do brick, pretty much anything. So this will be a really fun project. I'm hoping to break ground on this foundation in March, hopefully. We'll see. And then this timber frame barn over here, that's going to be a fun project too. Endless projects to do. So this is a good strategy if you're thinking about something like this. Leave your questions or comments down below and I'll try to get to those. Thanks for watching.